Welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the prelim fights for UFC Fight Night on ESPN Plus, Blachowicz versus Jacare. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight on the card and our first prelim. So in our first fight, we have in the women's flyweight division, Ariane Lipski versus Veronica Macedo. So I'm kind of stuttering on that Lipski name, but I think this is a pretty clear-cut prediction for me in this fight right here. I see that Ariane Lipski, she's a pretty solid overall fighter, but I think she hasn't so far shown herself to be UFC caliber. She has trained in all the areas, but just doesn't she's not just up to that pace or that level of technique that the UFC has. And I see with Veronica Macedo, I see her as the better striker and she can control that range. And I see if they get in close, I see Macedo as the better grappler. But I see maybe if Ariane Lipski could get something in the clinch, she might have some success. But I feel like Macedo could be there at distance, be there at mid-range. And if it gets too close, she could take it to the ground, and I feel she's a stronger grappler between the two. So I really to see, a gritty decision between these two women. But I see Macedo just having the more skill set. Better in more areas than Macedo. Better in more areas than Lipski. And if she needs another option, she has that option, whereas Lipski does not. So in this fight, I got Veronica Macedo via decision. Now on to our next fight we have in the women's bantamweight division, Vanessa Melo versus Tracy Cortez. So looking at this fight right here, this is another clear-cut prediction right here. I think both fighters are pretty solid. I mean, it's not like one is just so much better than the other or one has a weak area necessarily. I see that they're both well-rounded fighters, but I think Tracy Cortez has a little bit more clean in her boxing. She's better at foot movement, a little bit faster. She can put a little bit more pop in her shot, a little bit, like I said, just a little bit cleaner in technique, and that's going to be all that she needs in this fight. Melo's tough, she's gritty, she's grindy and stuff, but Tracy Cortez, I think her boxing technique is really going to be the difference in this one. That's the clearest edge I see in this fight. So in this fight, I got Tracy Cortez via decision. Now on to our next fight we have in the featherweight division, Douglas Silva de Andrade versus Renan Barao. So in this one, it's like you could go off technique and say this, but right now, just to be honest, I'm just going off based off how we have seen Renan Barao over these past couple of years. Like, he's on the decline and hasn't been able to find any kind of ground or any kind of rebound. He's just been getting knocked out or losing every single fight. And Andrade, I say, like, in a kind of broad sense, not necessarily the most fast fighter, but he's a real muscular, hard-hitting fighter, powerful fighter, pressuring fighter. And Barao's chin hasn't been holding up. And I guess people figured him out, and plus he's been on the decline, hasn't been finding edge. So it's physical issues with Renan Barao, it's this and that, cutting and weight issues. I think the power of Andrade is going to be able to, keep Barao respecting him and to put Barao on the back foot and pretty much have him outwork Barao. I think Barao will come back in this fight sharper than he's been as of late. But I think Andrade's going to be too physical for him at this stage in his career and have him kind of fighting to get in the fight instead of fighting and finding a pace in this fight. So I feel like Andrade just, controls the pace of this fight and beats him to a decision. So in this fight, I got Douglas Silva de Andrade via decision. Now on to our next fight we have in the welterweight division, Warlley Alves versus Randy Brown. So this is a fight, Randy Brown coming off one of the better victories of his career, and Warlley Alves is also coming off one of the better victories of his career. Warlley Alves defeated Sergio Moraes, knocked him out in third round after battering him for the other two. Randy Brown, I forget who he beat, but he beat a pretty tough, I'm not forgetting the name of the guy he beat, but he beat him a pretty tough veteran, and he just picked him apart, and I think put him away too, I believe. But I'm just going off memory with this one. But as far as with this one, I see that Randy Brown, he's a much taller fighter, longer, more technical. Warlley Alves, smaller, more condensed. He's not a small fighter, I'm not saying, but I'm saying compared to Randy Brown, who's a long, lanky fighter. Warlley Alves about 5'10", 5'11", maybe 6 feet. And Randy Brown's about, 6'2", 6'3". So it's a longer fighter versus kind of a more compact power fighter. And I don't see Warlley Alves necessarily having a style that poses in a necessarily a proven issue to Randy Brown. Warlley Alves going to be coming heavy. He's going to be trying probably a good strategy to attack the legs of the long, lanky Randy Brown. But Randy Brown doesn't have no issue checking kicks. I think, like I said, I think he's more technical striker. I think he can play with the range. I think where Warlley Alves would need to beat Randy Brown, he would have had to be technical and consistent with his pressure. And Warlley Alves tends to kind of come hot maybe in the first round and kind of lay back because he can't keep that same pace. I think that's really going to be important in this fight, that maybe Warlley Alves might have success early, but if you can't keep the success and you can't keep that pressure on Randy Brown, then he's going to start to get loose And when he's going to get started to lose, it's like really barely a lot. I mean, it's not that many people that can really strike with Randy Brown in this weight class when Randy Brown starts to get loose. So if you're going to give Randy Brown attempts to get loose, he can't be on him the whole time. I'm going to lean to Randy Brown. Like, Warley Alves doesn't have consistent pressure because he doesn't have consistent cardio. He doesn't like have what's called manage his cardio as properly as he needs to. So if he give Randy Brown any bit of room, Randy Brown's going to start to take this fight away. He's going to start to pick him apart, keep him at the outside, and he's not going to be able to slip and get back in once he gets too tired to even, lose his explosiveness. Like, use that, lose that explosive ability of Warley Alves starts to diminish over the rounds. Randy Brown's that distance only going to get farther, and Randy Brown's only going to exploit it more. I think Randy Brown starts to pick him apart, and I think he puts some weight late in the third. So in this fight, I got Randy Brown via third round TKO. Now on to our next fight we have in the lightweight division, Francisco Trinaldo versus Bobby Green. So in this one, I see a battle of power versus speed. Francisco Trinaldo, I think he has a kickboxing background, probably several-time kickboxing world champion. I'm not saying it was like K1, the premier type of kickboxing champion, but still high-level kickboxer, a lot of power, very good timing. I think he has some good hooks, good overhand, super heavy body kicks, heavy leg kicks, very big physical fighter. Bobby Green, slick boxing, slick head movement, slick footwork, some wrestling that he hasn't really used much over the past couple years, but definitely there. And I'm going to lean to Bobby Green in this one. I feel like Trinaldo has the power, but speed beats power. I mean, Trinaldo does have some timing, but his age is getting up there. I think, and plus Bobby Green also has head, so he has speed, timing, plus the head move. So even if he kind of makes some mistakes out there, I think he could slip some of Trinaldo's shots. Maybe the kicks to the body, kicks to the leg can have some success for Trinaldo to maybe take away some of that foot movement, take away some of that speed. And when you start attacking the head and start attacking the body and the leg, then that head doesn't move as much. Trinaldo can have success, but I feel like Bobby Green, especially in a 3-round fight. Matter of fact, Trinaldo don't even have that much cardio anyway to begin with. So, regardless of what type of, if it's a 3 or 5-round fight, it's not like he's going to really favor Trinaldo. I think Bobby Green's going to be able to beat him to the punch often throughout this fight, outvalue him, just be the faster, slicker fighter. And just, like I said, just beat Trinaldo to the punch, outwork him. And I think he could maybe mix some takedowns, threaten with some different areas, levels changing, like mixing the takedown attempts and, the shots and stuff, and setting Trinaldo up for a lot of different things, which will allow Bobby Green to flow more, which will allow him to be more comfortable throwing shots, and which will present more opportunities for Bobby Green to land shots. So I just see this as a fight where, like I said, Bobby Green beat him to the punch more often than not, outvalue him probably by a significant clip, and beat him on a clear decision. So in this fight, I got Bobby Green via decision. Now to our co-prelim headliner, not co-main event, co-prelim headliner. We have in the featherweight division, Ricardo Ramos versus Luis Eduardo Garragori. Look at this fight right here. Garragori, I think, was the first Uruguay fighter to win a UFC fight. Kudos to him for what he did right there. But yeah, so now as far as the prediction right here, I see Garragori, he has some pretty solid boxing, some pretty decent grappling defense. Not the best, but certainly got some decent grappling defense. So, but a solid fighter nonetheless. But what I see with this one, I just see Ricardo Ramos is the better fighter where he could, much better grappler, even better than the guy, because he was having some issues with Barnane's grappling, and Ramos is a much better grappler than Barnane. Striking wise, Ricardo Ramos was much better striking than Barnane. Barnane was had success against Garragori. So I really see overall Ricardo Ramos is like the better fighter in every single area. Well, I would say Garragori is a little bit better boxer. But as far as, you mix in the full MMA game with the striking, with the leg kicks, the body kicks, the control of the range, with mixing in with takedowns as well, and adding that factor into it as well, I say Ricardo Ramos is the better everywhere. So really, Garragori might have in pure striking, it has a slight edge, but when you put that in for the full MMA aspects of things, Ricardo Ramos is better everywhere. I just gonna feel like Ricardo Ramos is just able to put on a full, well-rounded MMA game and beat Garragori on a decision. So in this fight, I got Ricardo Ramos via decision. Now to our prelim headliner, we have in the welterweight division, Sergio Moraes versus James Krause. So look at this fight right here. You got wild, loopy striking, several-time world jiu-jitsu champion versus James Krause, a veteran of MMA with a full-rounded skill set. And James Krause actually defeated Warley Alves, who most recently put Moraes away. So he put away the guy who just put you away. But MMA math doesn't always work. What I see with this one is that if James Krause is, technically sound in this fight, he should win this fight. If he had to keep the fight on his feet, he should be able to pick apart Moraes on the feet, because Moraes is going to swing wild, loopy strikes. But James Krause striking defense isn't so, sealed and shut. Like he can just defend everything. It's so clean. His offensive striking is pretty clean, but his defense striking not always the cleanest. Because I've seen people come around and catch him with loopy shots. I think he was caught by what Alex White added, lightweight, by some loopy shots or some power shots, and he was kind of running from it, had to go to a grappling aspect. So he definitely open to be caught by some wild strikes. So that does leave Moraes some chance. But if James Krause stays clean, I think especially coming up to 170, they don't get caught as much because it's not the speed's different at 170 than it is at 155. 155 is much faster, so maybe he's not gonna be open to those loopy stuff as much, and maybe his chin a little bit better at this weight class. But like I said, he's open for it. But I'm gonna feel like in this fight that his cleaner technique is gonna favor him. He's gonna be able to keep the fight on the feet. He definitely doesn't want to go to the ground because if he goes to the ground, Sergio Moraes is definitely the better grappler, definitely. But on the feet, as long as he keep Sergio Moraes from really gaining any and controlling any top position or any securing like real control on the ground, this is all cross fight. So keep him on the feet, keep him at distance, pick him apart, take advantage of these looping strikes and attack him and count him off those pockets that he leaves open in these wild loopy strikes. And I think he puts him away, and I think it's in the second. So in this fight, I got James Krause via decision. Via second round TKO. And that concludes my fight predictions for the prelims of UFC Fight Night on ESPN Plus, Blachowicz versus Jacare. And as always, thanks for watching.